Do you ever hear people talking about their side hustles and think, why not me? Well, what's stopping you? We worked with HubSpot to create a database of 100 side hustle ideas that you can start now. Everything from design and real estate to public speaking and wellness. There's something in there for everyone. Plus, we cover the skills you need and the investment you'll probably have to make to get started. Ready to break out of your 9 to 5? Go to HubSpot.com/THDS to download for free.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, December 13th. I'm John Weigell with Juliet, Bennett, Ryla, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Months ago, a story came out that Macy's was out $151 million because of the actions of a single employee. Now that we have more of the story, let's talk about what actually happened here, how this all got out of hand from one mistake, and how Macy's is handling it amid a pretty tough time for the company. We'll get to all that in a bit, but first, let's give you the news in business and tech. Okay, starting off with the media, Buzzfeed sold production company First We Feast, which is the maker of Hot Ones, the web series, of course, in which celebrities are interviewed while eating the spicy wings. You know the one. They sold it for $82.5 million to a fund led by George Soros and his family, of all people. Buzzfeed used these funds, plus any cash they had on hand, to pay $90 million of its $124 million debt. Soros' son, Alex, has made several media deals in recent years, actually, per Business Insider, including a minority stake in Crooked Media and a controlling stake in Odyssey. From there, we go to airline news. Frontier Airlines is trying a new strategy to bag some more customers. The budget airline announced recently an all-you-can-fly, quote, pass from 2025 to 2026, starting at $299 for the first 5,000 people that want to buy it. After that, the pass is going to cost $499, but folks with the pass can fly as much as they want between May 1st, 2025 and April 30th, 2026. They just got to pay 1 cent per flight, which, not bad, and for any baggage fees, so that's probably how they'll get you. From there, we jump into more media news. Warner Brothers Discovery shares jumped about 15% Thursday morning after the company said it's restructuring its business into a linear division, housing its news, sports, scripted and unscripted programming, and a streaming division for film studios, HBO, and Max. So they're doing a bit of segmentation over there. From there, we get into a bit of luxury goods. The whiskey business is going down easy and not in the good way. According to an industry report from Scottish financial advisory firm Noble & Co., the market for rare whiskey has taken a hit in the past year, with transactions decreasing by 16% from September 2023 to September 2024. I guess designer clothing isn't the only luxury product struggling right now. And finally, somebody who's not struggling, though, Elon Musk's net worth reached $400 billion. Can it get any higher? Making him the first person to reach that mark. Musk is the richest person in the world and saw a 77% increase in his fortune since Donald Trump's presidential victory. Woof.
Hey everybody, it's your host, John Weigell. If you love the insights HubSpot brings to your podcast feed, then you're going to love Marketplace Tech. This daily podcast keeps you up to speed about the latest in tech news and what it all means for the economy. With stories about AI regulation, the fight against misinformation, and the latest in crypto, Marketplace Tech is essential listening to understand the business behind innovation. Listen to Marketplace Tech wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, on to the main story today. We talked a while ago about the millions in delivery expenses that were hidden at Macy's, but now we have just a bit more information on why this particular employee hid these gargantuan expenses. So, Juliet, first here, can you round up what's going on?
I don't know how many of our readers are old enough to have watched Seinfeld, but basically this guy is like the most George Costanza-coded guy I've ever seen. I don't know that it's a guy. I'm just picturing this employee is George Costanza. Apparently, they were responsible for small package delivery expenses accounting. Okay, that sounds real boring. Great. Then they made a mistake. And instead of correcting this mistake or fessing up to this mistake, they, over the course of several years, I guess this started in Q4 of 2021, made various accounting entries to hide that mistake, amounting to between $132 million and $154 million of total expenses, and just kept doing it, I guess, until this most recent fiscal quarter, which ended in early November.
Wow. Yeah, so that is just 3 years of hiding these things, which is a lot more relatable actually than what we initially thought. Because I remember this report coming out months ago and most people saying like, oh, probably because they just stole from the company and like we're keeping the money.
Right.
But no, this is just years and years of built up mistakes and problems that are increasingly hard to tell people about, which is a very George Costanza thing. I agree.
Yes,
it was the small packages, Jerry. At first, it was the small packages, but it became the big packages over time, it looks like.
Right. And it's like once you hide the mistake the first time, then I guess you're stuck hiding the mistake
For a long time.
for a long time, and Macy said this was not for personal gain. This person acted alone. There's nobody else involved. It was just them probably sweating bullets for a good solid 3 years.
Oh my God.
Naturally, they no longer work there anymore. That's to be expected. And it's unclear if there are any criminal charges that will be filed. I mean, this has had an impact somewhat on Macy's business. So essentially, there wasn't any real impact on like vendors getting paid or cash management. Everything's kind of just fine. Macy's will have to adjust some things, some numbers. I think the real impact here is that all of this being in the media has led to their shares kind of fluctuating in a way that it wouldn't if Macy's didn't have this big kerfuffle to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, they even discovered this in November. They kind of discovered this as just an accounting issue while preparing their financial statements for the fiscal quarter. And somebody just caught it and it became this whole thing. And that's why the earnings reports were delayed for that quarter for Macy's. So, I mean, they barely even found out about this. It was just kind of a freak thing that has been going on for so long that they just kind of nipped in the bud. And from that, I mean, Macy's has not been doing too well the past few years and continues to lose their sales year over year. And this is just kind of another hit to the company, which has been trying to really revitalize itself. I mean, they still have the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
That's true.
But man, is it getting concerning over there?
Yeah. So they were going to close 50 stores this year. They had said now it's up to 65. Of course, they're going to wait until after the holidays. So technically not this year necessarily. The ultimate goal is to close 150 stores over the next 3 years, and that is in an effort to become more sustainable. They're closing the stores that are underperforming or difficult to run to try to become leaner. And we've seen this happen with a lot of businesses, chain restaurants, chain stores. We're seeing this happen a lot. Macy's is not the exception here. It's just interesting for Macy's to have this huge story kind of come out in the middle of this. It's like, it's better than it could be, I think. Just the other day we were talking about Chi-Chi's. And I remember Chi-Chi's because I think my family had taken me there when I was a little kid. I did not realize that Chi-Chi's was completely undone by getting a shipment of green onions that it put in, of course, its complimentary salsa that it handed out to every table at a particular restaurant. Not a single table, I presume, did not get the complimentary salsa. And of course, that led to the biggest hepatitis A break in the United States. And then, I mean, that was it. Like, that's too many lawsuits. Chi-Chi was done. And now the son of an original founder is trying to bring it back. But it's like, sometimes you get a company that just has like this wild thing happen to it that is beyond its control. I think in Macy's case, this is more of like a weird, funny story. I'm sure there's lots of relatable content memes out there of people who are like, I too have done something really wacky at work and tried to cover it up to disastrous results. Perhaps not this disastrous. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's just a weird bump in the road that just comes at probably one of the worst times it could come in the company's history. And,
for sure,
they're doing a lot of things like a lot of chain restaurants and even like Starbucks, where they're trying to kind of make their storefront operations more efficient. And they're trying to do that in a lot of ways. And they're saying that it's working. Actually, the CEO said that they tested staffing additional people in kind of the women's shoes and bags department to have specific runners to go get bags and shoes to try on. And they said those locations that they started that in increased the sales by 7%, which is nice. But they're trying to do that to all these locations at the same time and just trying to save this company in ways that are looking at efficiency rather than maybe these big glaring issues that keep happening over the course of their history.
Right. And I think those are the kind of changes that I think make sense. We've kind of had a weird retail situation over the last couple of years. A lot of stuff moved online, mostly because we were trapped inside and buying things off Amazon or wherever. But I think focusing on the kind of experiences that you must have in store. And for me, that is shoes. Like anytime I buy a pair of shoes online, no, terrible. Why did I do this?
bad.
It's not a sweater if you can't try them on. So I think that that's pretty smart. I think a lot of retailers are doing a lot of smart stuff, moving into sort of a combined digital experience or the complete opposite end, adding this more personal touch.
Yeah, and there was a story that came out a few months ago about Macy's slimming down their shoe departments to regulate the choice and keep it to a good amount of shoes offered. And that could be more efficient for the business as well. I mean, clearly, they're not dead.
Yeah.
It'll take a long time before anything like that happens, but they are slowly going down. And I think they're trying to retrofit their business into what it looks like for the next 10 years.
Honestly, maybe this is good for Macy's because I truly haven't thought about Macy's in so long.
Could be.
Now I'm just fascinated by this. This would be like a great Netflix comedy with like a Ryan Reynolds character.
Oh, God, it would be so good.
He's trying to hide his accounting. I mean, I'd watch it. Maybe it's good for Macy's.
It could either be like a great comedy or just like the most uncut gems, similar piece of media about just the most stressful day at work ever, but for 3 years. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the documentary.
Yeah, they haven't announced who the employee is, and that's probably a good thing for everyone involved. But I would really like to know. I want the as told to tell all like story in the cut. It's just like how this spiraled out of control. I would love to know that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've already basically cast Dave Franco for Luigi Mangione. So, I mean, they might as well do something about this.
Yeah. And this is a lot more lighthearted because who among us cannot relate to this person? I mean, to this extent, probably not. But I mean, when I was waiting tables, I would definitely be like, oh, no, I rung that in wrong. I got to. And then like instead of telling the manager, I would like try to like go make the thing myself. I mean, it's relatable content.
Very relatable. Agreed. Okay, and that'll do it for us today. Thanks everybody for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. Go get subscribed at thehustle.co/email and throw us a follow on Instagram at thehustledaily. We'll catch you next week, everybody.